Hey, we're back with more Rotten Mango. Usually this would be the time when I would finish off a series like the Karen Reed investigation, but I kind of want to take a break from that one for now since that one is like maybe nearly 3 hours. I want to check out this one because this one really caught my attention when I first saw the thumbnail of it. It's China's red uncle, Sister Hong, exposed with six 106. I can't even read numbers. What's wrong with me? A lot of victims, but became the biggest meme. Like, what?
Bada
And
bing,
then
bada boom.
afterwards, she
The
released
city of
a
Nanjing in China is probably the
lot.
equivalent to Chicago in the United States. Just in terms of population, you're talking about at least 9 million residents, which means theoretically, if somebody farts or
1,600.
sneezes on
Got
one
it.
side of Chicago, you would imagine that at least 8,999,990 people don't care and don't even hear it, don't even smell it. Maybe unless you're the mayor of the city or someone with 5 cans of WD-40 strapped to their chest and a lighter. It is very unlikely that one person's actions in a city as big as Chicago or Nanjing, China, you're probably not going to impact the whole city. July 2025, something weird is happening in Nanjing. The ones who know about it and are talking about it online, they're all boycotting any future travel into and through Nanjing. Like, you would think that there's an outbreak of some sorts. They're talking about Nanjing online as if something incredibly dangerous, contagious is spreading inside the city with the residents. Some people online don't even want to come in contact with someone that's been in the city of Nanjing in the past year. These are people outside of Nanjing. Some people inside of Nanjing, nothing. They have no idea what's going on. They have no idea what people on the other side of the country or the other side of the world are saying about their city. In fact, there's this one guy, he posts online and he's just saying something weird has been happening. Okay, so he was on the street the other day. He lives in the city of Nanjing, if you need some context, which really isn't that pertinent, or so he thought. He was gonna go visit his uncle and he didn't want to go empty-handed. His uncle loves fruit. His favorite fruit is watermelon. He goes to the store, purchases the biggest watermelon
I
that
love
they have,
watermelon.
which on second thought might not be the smartest idea because now he's hauling this massive watermelon down the block and a stranger stops him, literally smirks at him and sneers. He's like, what the hell is wrong with this stranger?
Rude.
Like, I didn't even bump into you. I didn't do anything to you. Going to see your old man?
That's crazy.
This guy online is like, I mean, I've lived in Nanjing my whole life. Strangers don't talk to each other. It's not like America where you make small talk. It's like everyone goes about their day. Everyone's busy. It's a pali type of hurry culture there as well. The tone is kind of malicious also, which is throwing him off. And it's so weird. Is he about to get jumped on the street for a watermelon? He responds,
Toss that watermelon at him.
yeah. The stranger looks him up and down and shoots him a look that can only be described as utmost disgust. Like if someone were to step on a cockroach barefoot in the middle of summer, and then
Ew.
half that cockroach carcass just sticks to the bottom of their soul, that's
Stephanie,
what it looks like. And then the stranger just walks off. Mr. Watermelon has no clue what this entire interaction was about, but it's all connected. Mr. Watermelon, the internet boycotting travel to Nanjing, and somehow even that's all connected to Nanjing gyms and fitness centers that are all seemingly at the same time on the brink of collapse simultaneously. It seems like every single gym in the city is on the verge of shutting down. Some of them are even trying to sell private training lessons for $13 for 3 sessions, and they're still not selling any. And if you start tracing it all back to when this all happens, you can almost pinpoint a day that this all starts. July 5th, 2025. It's the day that a person the internet has now nicknamed Uncle Red gets arrested. Because after Uncle Red's arrest, nothing and nobody is the same. How the hell is the entire city impacted by this one man's arrest? It could be the 1,000+ videos that he has on Nanjing citizens, secretly recorded videos of random Nanjing residents during the most intimate moments of their lives. It could be that, or it could just be that Uncle Red is kind of crazy.
It looks kind of crazy. Like when I first saw the thumbnail and Uncle Red, it was a bit unnerving. It kind of looks like one of those silicone masks you put on that is supposed to look really realistic to another human. That's what it kind of reminded me
We would
of.
like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support the National Immigration Law Center, one of the leading advocacy organizations in the U.S. dedicated to defending the rights of immigrants and their loved ones. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team, and we would also like to thank you guys for your continued support. As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. A few very important disclaimers for this episode. We had our Chinese researchers help assist with this case, as well as to help navigate a lot of the social conversations that are happening afterwards and just trying to navigate the social context of everything. Today's case involves mentions of illegal distribution of intimate moments without a party's consent, video footage. Today's case is also unique in the sense that it's going to be discourse heavy. So the crime itself is ongoing, but much of the conversation and the internet reaction has become part of the case itself. Like you can't really separate the two. It's not one where I can be like, hey, so I'm going to tell you about the case and then maybe a few little internet comments here. It's so embedded. You can't talk about one without the other. Otherwise
You
it feels
just do
like
it
you're
for
not getting the full
blackmail?
picture of what's happening out there. So I'm going to tell you everything that's been happening in the effort to present all sides of the case. Just because I'm telling you what people are saying online does not mean that I'm endorsing what they're saying or trying to make light of a
Course.
situation. But like I said, the discourse is almost becoming bigger than the case itself. And to ignore that would not make it go away. I mean, it's still there. Just because we don't like to hear certain conversations doesn't mean those conversations are going to stop or they cease to
Right.
exist happening. So keep that in
Exactly.
mind. Now, the biggest note to go into this case is it involves a male identifying perpetrator who, by most reports and accounts, seems to only portray themselves as a woman online to lure in straight men to engage in sexual acts. So with the perpetrator's end goal
Yeah.
being to secretly film videos. Our team had multiple extensive conversations about the best way to identify the perpetrator, and ultimately we decided, since there is zero public indication that the perpetrator identifies as anything other than male in any other context than when they're trying to commit violations for monetary profit, we will be using
Sure.
he, him pronouns. That said, we understand that there could be a slim possibility that the perpetrator is suppressing their gender identity since they may not live in the most progressive city in the world. There's no indication of that we found so far, but we just want to make it clear we are not intentionally, purposefully misgendering someone if that is
No,
indeed the
I get
case.
it.
It's just
I
in
get
this
it.
moment, with the given information that we have, this is the most respectful decision that we could make. Secondly, regardless of the perpetrator's identity, their crimes are their own and are not representation of any group of people. In fact,
Of
cases like this can
course.
perpetuate negative, queer, phobic generalizations. And if those are the conclusions that one comes to after listening to the entirety of this episode, I would like to
Therapy.
advise them to visit the nearest emergency room for possible brain damage. Thirdly, there is massive discussion surrounding full informed consent. As of now, none of the men in the videos have explicitly consented to the release of their footage. So keep
Yeah,
that in
because
mind. So
what?
with that being said, let's get started. Nothing gets people more violently riled up, in my opinion. I have never seen a group of people so quick to curse at each other, just like refusing to compromise, than a good old harmless conversation about who has better morals. It's the moral dilemma. It is the
I don't
quickest way to get
care.
people close to you to scream at the top of their lungs, because if you refuse to kill one person, then you're intentionally, knowingly killing 5 other people, so you're actually not a good person. However, because I am willing to kill one person, I'm a better person than you. I'm morally superior than you. But that's just the trolley problem. It's like the most
Yeah.
calm, demure of all moral dilemmas. There's a man named Jonathan Haidt, and he's got a lot of very uncomfortable moral dilemmas that people like to debate and familial ties with after long-standing.
Concerning the trolley debate, right? When I was a kid, I say I would have probably chosen to save that singular person. But now, kind of getting older, I would probably lean more towards the more the better, as in saving the more the better, right? That's just my thought process, and I found that it changed as I grew older. I can't explicitly go into details as to why exactly. General reason is just the more the better. The more lives saved, the better.
fights about who's the better human.
For me.
Take, for example, a family's pet is killed outside in front of their house. They had heard that roadkill meat is very delicious.
Wait.
Yeah, this is a moral dilemma, okay? Family's pet killed outside, ran over by a car. The family had heard from previous conversations that roadkill meat is very delicious. So they bring in their family pet. Nobody is watching. Nobody knows the family is doing this. And they cook the family pet's meat and eat it for dinner. Nobody saw them do this. Did the family do anything morally wrong? Some will argue, well, it's gross. But that's not the question. Is it morally wrong? And then they'll say, well, I guess the pet is already dead and it's their family pet. So if anyone's going to be upset about the situation, it would be them. And it's not like they're encouraging other people by doing it. They're not posting it online. Nobody saw them do it. I mean, it's gross, but is it morally wrong?
Wouldn't it just depend on the person, right? Is that your morals versus my morals? For me, I would fucking never, because I I just wouldn't. All right. I actually years ago had a pet that was run over by a semi truck while I was out of town. He just, got out of the gates from my family members who maybe just didn't notice the gate open. Heard from a friend. Say that situation. I mean, that's a very, very bizarre example to take, but say that situation, no. Even if it was just outside the street, no. I would be way too distraught to even have that come up. If I was in the situation of dire need of food, I still wouldn't. I would not. But that might not be the case for somebody else.
Get online. Nobody saw them do it. I mean, it's gross, but is it morally wrong? Jonathan then further asks, then consider this. A man goes to a supermarket once a week, buys a chicken, a dead chicken. And before butchering the chicken, he has intimate relations with the chicken, and then he cooks it and eats it by himself. He does not share the food with anyone. He does not share the kitchen with anyone. He has no young kids in the house. Nobody sees him do this. He is a single man who does this in his free time. The question is it morally wrong?
Who is this guy?
He's he's an author. I believe he's a professor as well.
Got it.
And the question is not, is it gross? The question is not, would you do this? Do you want to be friends with Chicken Man? The question is simply, is it morally wrong? This is, side note, also why you cannot have philosophy majors over for dinner, because this would just end up in a bloodbath. Some would argue that this is an efficient use of natural resources. Others would say that there's a lack of respect being shown to a former living, breathing creature, which they would deem, personally, morally wrong. That's what they're saying. Then comes another moral dilemma. Okay, then hold that thought. So you think the act...
For that point, it's different for me with a family pet versus I don't know, a chicken or something. Because it's a family pet. I would consider them a family member. I wouldn't eat one of my family members versus a chicken that I have no idea of existed, so on and so forth. So just for respect of a past living being, I don't know, it can get really messy, right?
Of doing this to a dead chicken because that chicken was once alive at some point is wrong, then I mean, you could also argue that you shouldn't be eating chickens, and then the only people that could have that argument would be vegans.
Exactly.
But if you're not a vegan, then how can you have that argument?
Right.
Then comes another moral dilemma. So let's say a woman is cleaning out her closet. She finds an old flag of whatever nation you're part of, or whatever nation you have the utmost respect for, whether that be the American flag, the South Korean flag, whatever. It's a national flag. Mm-hmm. She finds it. She has no use for it, doesn't want it anymore. So she cuts it up into pieces and then uses it as a rag to clean her toilet. Nobody looks through her bathroom window. Nobody finds out. She doesn't post it on social media as some sort of message to the youth. It's not a statement of any kind. It's just, well, I was either going to A, throw it away, and it's mine. I can do what I want with my possessions. And I mean, isn't it better to reuse things than just throwing it away? Some will say the chicken is a no-go, but the flag is fine. But others argue flags can hold very symbolic meanings for a large population of people, such as veterans, perhaps even more so than the symbolism of a grocery store chicken that people will be eating regardless. than others argue, just because we independently have our own views about something, does that make others morally wrong when their views are not the same, even if they're technically not hurting someone? Where does the morality end? When they start hurting people, or just the idea, the concept? But who comes up with where that concept is? Side note, if you've ever had the desire to be the very annoying dinner party guest, his book is really good. It's called Righteous Mind. It's
Is it filled with these questions?
yeah, and it's filled with how his students respond, and it's just, I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, there's
I think I have heard about this book, but I haven't really picked up a book in a long time. Maybe this is something I'll probably have to check out. I think, right, to each their own. How about you can voice your opinion, but don't try to change a person just because this is how you think, right? I think also there is a boundary, right? But like she said, how do you know where the boundary should be? Your boundary could be like down here and somebody else's could be up here. So it could draw a line to if you start hurting people, you know, to the extremes, torturing, taking a life, those types of things, you know, breaching other people's privacy. Those are some extreme examples, which I feel like majority of people could come to an agreement of. But it's just a whole wide field of things that we could really get into. It's actually very interesting.
like a cockroach dilemma. There's incest dilemmas.
Whoa.
Yeah, it even goes into how a lot of people will first, this is what he says in the book of, it's interesting because when you ask people these questions about these moral dilemmas, first people will be disgusted by the moral dilemmas. And you'll see it. And one of the first things that they do to justify their disgust, because they can't, I mean, maybe someone on the street, but when you're talking to a lot of like philosophy majors, it's hard to debate that some of these are morally wrong because
Yeah.
it's just difficult. They're not hurting
Incest? Really? I can't.
anyone. Nobody's finding out. It's not a statement. So what they do is they feel the disgust first, the emotion. And he says one of the first things that happens is they will find victims to justify their emotions, stating the family who eats the pet will get sick, or they're teaching their children dangerous behaviors, or the children are exposed to diseases by eating the pet meat. He's like, who said they had children?
That is so interesting.
Others say a neighbor who is a veteran is going to see the woman cutting up the flag and cleaning her toilet. And if he doesn't see that, he's going to see it peeking out of her trash can filled with doo-doo. And he's going to be very sad because he fought for that flag. Jonathan is like, we never said anyone was going to see it. In fact, I told you, nobody knows that this is happening. This is
Yeah, that's even more interesting how people think and justify their reasons. I personally don't go that far beyond myself because I always try to think for myself. Unless given extra details, then I would go further on in my reasonings. But it is interesting how people automatically jump into more assumptions.
happening privately. So people will create victims to justify how they feel upset about a moral dilemma, which I thought was very intriguing. But that's not the point here. There are other interesting moral dilemmas, a bit lighter. So the cockroach one, because I see that you were interested, so I'm just going to tell you about it,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
A professor
Had
has
an
everyone
experience
drink
like
a sip
that.
of apple juice. And all of them take a willing sip. They saw it come out of the juice can and they take a sip. Then he announces, I have here in this container a sterilized cockroach. We bought some cockroaches from the lab supply company. The roaches were raised in a clean environment and they have been sterilized once again in an autoclave, which heats everything so hot that no germs can survive. I'm going to dip this cockroach into the juice. Now will you take a sip? Why or why not? No. Well, one could argue that probably dirtier things have actually been in contact with most food products sold within our country. We just don't know about it. This actually happens to be completely sterile. But the problem with moral dilemmas, and it's so interesting because they also did one that was so fascinating. They got a group of students together, a ton
Concerning the cockroach one, right? I think it's the thought that you don't know about it. So it's like out of sight, out of mind. If I don't know about it, it's like ignorance is bliss, right? Versus if you see the cockroach, even if you know it's completely sterile, obviously everyone has their opinion. I'm just speaking for myself, right? and you see it being dipped in, okay, if it's a huge jug and it's a quick boop and everybody is still drinking it, then I would be like, okay, I might take the tiniest sip, as opposed to individually prolonged dipping into each individual cup. I probably wouldn't, just because I don't like bugs in general. So even just the thought of it, even if I know it's completely sterile and everything, I still wouldn't.
Of them were atheists, so they don't even believe in any sort of God or religion. And they asked, will you sign this piece of paper that I sign my soul over to this professor after my death? But if this contract is null and void, this is not a legal contract. And they present it in front of the students, including the atheist students who don't believe that there's an afterlife, who don't really believe that your soul exists in any sort of form or even conceptually after death, and they refuse to sign it. They refuse to sign it.
Would you sign it?
Even if I don't believe in the afterlife, I think there might be something. I can't say for confidence, right? Like there is for sure an afterlife or anything like that. Or what's that word? You come back in your afterlife as like a reincarnation, right? That kind of stuff. I don't know. It can I believe there is maybe something out there, but I just haven't really done the thought process of to like what exactly it could be. I would still probably sign it, because why not? I feel like if somebody came around and with this paper and asked you to sign it, I would just think they're like joking or doing a skit. And I wouldn't really take it so seriously that I would just sign it. Be like, okay, bye.
Ooh, probably, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. No. I don't know.
No, just be safe.
Yeah, I mean, just to be safe, I feel like, I mean, you would want a lawyer to look over it. No. At
I wouldn't
least,
take it seriously.
maybe. I would probably be peer pressured into signing it, though. Yeah.
Probably
Would you sign
that's
it?
me.
No.
You wouldn't.
No.
That's so interesting because you're not particularly religious or
Yeah, but-
superstitious
yeah.
or...
I'm not religious.
But I know it will
either.
bother you, so it'll just be whatever.
So the problem with some moral dilemmas is that once you find an answer to the first moral dilemma, it leads to another moral.
Or does that mean that I would sign it because then I don't believe in anything in the afterlife? Some people could look at it that way.
Dilemma. And then another one until you're basically in this black hole of moral dilemmas. And that is today's case of Uncle Red. This case has led to at least 15 different conversations and debates about the morality of not just the case itself, but also the internet's reaction to the case. And it feels like a black hole that we're about to get stuck in.
Okay, so far, I know I've been pausing a lot, but the first half was very interesting. But so far from what, it's too early to speak on it, right? But since I've already paused, I was going to say, speaking of morals and everything, and so far what we maybe know, what I maybe am getting from this case, there's this man who is portraying himself as a woman online to meet straight men, luring them in for the purpose of sexual activities and then filming them without their knowledge. I think that is wrong. I think lying to them into telling them to making them think that you're a woman but you're really a man is wrong, especially if they themselves state that they are straight. That's wrong. Filming them without their consent is wrong. There's numerous things that are wrong here. But let's
at first
get more
glance,
details into
there
the
is
case.
this list. The list looks like the top 10 list of men from the city of Nanjing. It's just a collage of 10 guys, a close-up of their faces, and it's
But wouldn't
ranked
they
1 through
know?
10. If you see the collage, it's confusing because it has a little phrase accompanying each blurry photo of a man. Number 1 says, might as well guy. 2, Four Seasons guy. 3, Uncle Red Note Dreamboat. 4, half bottle of oil guy. 5, TikTok influencer sleep early guy. 6, muscle man. 7, watermelon guy. Number 8, the milk guy. Number 9, black leather jacket guy. Number 10, sister-in-law guy. Michelle's fiance, and Michelle is a pseudonym, is Black Leather Jacket Guy, number 9 on the top 10 list, which is kind of hard to forget for Michelle because every single day, every second of every moment, everyone in her orbit, in her social sphere, just keeps sending her links to the collage of photos. Everyone calls your
Bro.
fiance the leather jacket guy. Well, I mean, her former fiance. It gets to be so much that she actually posts online. I took the video and I questioned my fiance, and he went silent. I showed him the collage, and currently we have notified both sides of our family. I went to the hospital to get checked for anything today, and I'm still waiting for the results. We were together for almost 3 years. I really believed we'd make it all the way to the altar. Both families had met, they'd gotten along, and then the Uncle Red story broke, and I couldn't even trust my own eyes. All the lies he told me suddenly felt hollow. I confronted him, and you just shrugged and said, let's part on good terms. I'm sorry. As if those words could erase everything. At that moment, every bit of light I had carried for 3 years in my life shattered. Uncle Red, I was left wondering, what exactly was I to my fiance? Really, Uncle Red? She posted a screenshot of a video of her fiance, well now, ex-fiance, sitting in a black leather jacket, sitting on the edge of someone else's bed. And that's where the top 9, like the number 9 photo was pulled from. And same with the other 9 guys. They're all sitting on the same bed, or they're all standing in the same room. Michelle apparently went through Leather Jacket Guy's phone, and he even had the chance to come clean. One of his friends messaged him, do you want me to tell your fiance, or are you going to? He responded, huh? I don't think that's necessary. What do you mean? You're engaged and still doing this? You don't have shame? Netizens are commenting under Michelle's post. I'm so sorry, but your fiance was pretty good looking too. And I could tell. This happened twice, didn't it? Another one reads, all I can say is he was pretty handsome, so this makes it even more confusing. Others say, it's actually more confusing that he's only ranked number 9 on the top 10 list. I'm so lost. Another one in the top 10 list is a
Concerning that one, why does him being handsome have anything to do with it? Unless it wasn't stated in the relationship that it's like an open relationship, right? Then, and he's out here maybe once, maybe twice, seeking out, say he did have sexual interactions with Uncle Red, right? Then that's wrong. But people are pointing out his handsomeness.
popular influencer on Douyin, which is China's TikTok. His videos have gone viral in Asia at least a few times solely for the reason that he's attractive. One of his videos, there's just comments that now read, you deserve better than Uncle Red. Why didn't you meet me before you met Uncle Red?
That's crazy.
So who the hell is Uncle Red? A middle-aged man allegedly catfishing straight men into coming to his house to have intimate relations. Uncle Red poses as a woman online, and he will invite these straight men over, and all of their intimate reactions are secretly recorded. It has been reported by many Chinese mainstream media news outlets, and then later debunked by police, but nobody believes it, that about 1,691 men fell victim to this illegal recording scam. Uncle Red appears to have a very strict routine prior to live streaming. It's a ritual, if you will. The first is finding the palest color foundation readily available for human use, slathering it all over his face, and pairing that uniquely with the
You couldn't at least match your foundation to the rest of your body, like your neck?
reddest of red lipsticks, always remembering to overline his lips. It's a rather low effort, minimal routine that does create kind of a striking appearance. Now, side note, the filters on Douyin are good enough that not much more is that necessary. The next step of his process includes putting on a dress shirt, a silky blouse usually, and then a long, flowy maxi skirt. He puts on a short bob, a wig. It's a wig. It goes down a little past his shoulders. He's got bangs covering his eyebrows, and it's a unique combination of design choices that are confusing, mainly because Uncle Red decides the day that he joins Douyin, he's actually going to go into making thirst traps.
Really?
Yeah, that's... I mean, the attire is interesting. He never...
Sorry if I keep making faces. It's just I don't know. It immediately is the visuals are kind of uncomfortable for me. I don't want to make it sound rude. Actually, in this case, I don't care because this person's doing some really things that I find morally wrong. Say, um, it's just imagine you come into contact with someone who you believe to be a woman and get lured in for sexual interactions, and then you open the door and the filters possibly used are like not there. I would be really creeped out.
Never wears anything provocative ever, and it doesn't work, at least not in the traditional sense. Uncle Red is for 3 years undoing. The mass audience has no clue who this person is. Nobody knows Uncle Red until he gets arrested. But that's
No
not the end game.
Oh,
It appears
no
that Uncle
family
Red joins
members.
doing for the purpose of getting DMs from men, which I say with respect for half the world's population. Lots of respect, lots of love. It's typically something that you can achieve even if you're aggressively doing nothing. Naturally, Uncle Red starts getting lots of DMs from men.
But like, what kind of thirst trap is he posting at that point? You're
Just
gonna get into
dancing.
that?
Yeah, so the thirst traps are not thirst traps in the way that you would typically imagine. So when you think thirst traps, you're thinking about
Yeah.
costumes
Like
and
dancing.
dancing. Yeah, and like lots of skin.
Very
A lot of guys are
provocative.
attracted to Uncle Red's softness. It's
Mm.
alleged that he uses a voice change filter and he knows how to talk to guys.
Okay, so maybe there's some extra factors we don't know about clearly because we're still in the beginning of the video. Sorry to keep pausing, but even just the snippets of videos that we see, softness, maybe the guys who fell victim to this and my view of softness and everything is different because you see the build, right? You see some, it's just a whole different build. Even I'm just trying to give like examples to not really offend anybody because I know there's going to be people out there that get so offended by what I say, but like there are definitely women who are like taller and have that sort of build as well, but there's something different. You can just tell apart from a woman versus a man cosplaying as a woman.
Sometimes he would take calls from his viewers, and one male viewer, seemingly familiar with Uncle Red already, is asking, "You still haven't slept yet?" Uncle Red responds, "I just ate lunch. How can I fall asleep?" "Oh, why aren't you sleeping yet?" I don't know. I just haven't slept yet." "Then can I ask you a question?" "Go ahead. What kind of question is it?" "It's about a man." "Sure, go ahead." "My husband's private part is a little longer than my middle finger. Is that normal?"
你像我老公呢，他的硬起来比中指长一点，算不算正常？
That's the extent of his thirst traps.
Got it.
It's that's the
What?
conversation that wins a lot of guys over for Uncle Red. Side
Are
note,
you kidding me? Really? Actually, you know what? I'm not surprised. I just, yeah. Really? That's what lured you in? My husband's private parts is what? Is what? A little longer than the middle finger. Is that normal? Yeah, my ruler. Ruler. For me, if it was a little longer than my middle finger, it'd be like 4 inches.
算正
What?
常。
Even it's
that's
so weird.
the extent of his thirst
Thirst
traps.
trap?
Got it.
It's that's the conversation that wins a lot of guys over for Uncle Red. Side note, Uncle Red
I'd
does
be
not
like,
appear to be married, at
okay.
least not anymore. He was once married to a woman, but they divorced. He is not since remarried, nor does he have a husband. But a lot of people like the idea that this is a woman who is not intimately fulfilled by her husband. And a lot of men want to say, "Let me show you what men do."
Just an easy
That's the
opening.
thirst trap.
Like,
I
oh, you're
see.
offering?
Yes. Now, Uncle Red also does not have a good wig because at one point during a live stream, it
Yes.
does slip off his head, revealing that not only does his foundation only go up to
I thought that was very clear, actually. This is very clearly a wig. I still don't, there are some people who just don't care, I guess.
Does slip off his head, revealing
Bro,
that not only does his
really? Not even the ears, not the neck. You can't even go up to the hairline. Nothing.
foundation only go up to where the bangs cut off.
Wait, I've seen that photo. It's only the face. That's why, right?
I mean,
It
but it's
looks
like half the
a
forehead.
mime.
And he just has like a very short buzz cut hairstyle, which looks perfectly fine. But even so,
Yeah, that's
Uncle
not the
Red's DMs
point.
start filling up, and it's rumored that Uncle Red, at least 1,691 men came to visit Uncle Red at his personal residence for intimate relations. So why is this a Rotten Mango episode? One of the first titles to come out of this incident, well, first of all, let me tell you why it is a Rotten Mango episode, because I've gotten hundreds of separate emails while I was so deep in the Karen Reed case, and everyone is telling me about Uncle Red. And so I looked into it and I thought, okay, maybe it's not going to be the most complicated mind case because my mind was wiped. And then the minute that I got into it, it's just the moral dilemma conundrum. It made my brain spin because of how many different debates were taking place online.
Also, just like how viral this is on TikTok and then in all of Asia.
Can
Like
imagine.
every single country in Asia was
Yes.
it's crazy. Like everyone's talking about this.
It's suspected that Uncle Red's bang, wig, pale skin, red lipstick, maxi skirt is going to be the #1 Halloween look in most Asian countries this year.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So one of the first titles to come out of this incident, and again, this is not me agreeing with the wording of this title, but like I said, it's important how the news is presented in this case. It translated reads, Nanjing 60-year-old man with a wig and a long skirt successfully attracts over 60-year-old man
60. Okay, I heard 16. I was
with
like,
a wig
there's no
and a
way.
long skirt successfully attracts over 1,600 straight men. So it's a very strange title, and accompanying it is a collage of a bunch of guys' faces.
Jeez.
And they don't look like mugshots, considering half of them are looking down to the side, all different directions. Some of them are shirtless. Others look like they're in brief flashes of pain. Others look like they're in brief flashes of pleasure, which you can't really tell the difference. And it's a very weird visual to see so many random guys' faces in a collage. I mean, the background is so consistent that you have to consider that the idea that the pictures were all taken in the same place is a valid theory. And they are. All of these pictures were taken at Uncle Red's personal residence, where, like I said, almost 2,000 men have reportedly come to visit Uncle Red. That number will later be debated, but we will get to that. For 3 years, nearly every single day, Uncle Red has had visitors. Livestream fan after livestream fan knocking on his door, and it's kind of difficult to pinpoint who watches Uncle Red's live streams.
I was just gonna say, who watches these? Because originally I thought he just recorded videos and maybe used them as blackmail or something to, like, I don't know, get money or whatever. But then she said live streams. I was like, okay, who the hell watches these live streams? And do they know? If they would have to know, right? It's not really a woman. And he's just lowering men in here. And if they actually do things on camera,
I feel like if you sat at the corner of his apartment building and made bets with the elderly neighbor who sits outside on the plastic chair every day, you would lose money, because sometimes it's a younger college kid that shows up hoodie and a backpack. Other days it's a slightly older, fitness obsessed looking muscle dude in a muscle shirt. Other days it looks kind of like a nerdy English tutor. Other days it looks like a middle-aged balding man. The only reason that you would really know that they're here to see Uncle Red is that they do not come empty-handed. The speculation
I've
online
noticed.
is that Uncle Red's house becomes a local legend through word of mouth. Uncle Red does social media, gets a few guys in the messages, but these guys then turn and tell all their friends, you need to visit Uncle Red's house. It's basically a steal, you know, what you get and what you give. It's not even comparable. It's basically free. All you have to do is bring a small gift, a household necessity, a bottle of peanut oil from the grocery store, that's $3. A single watermelon, which depending on the season in Nanjing is $2 to $5, or a packet of milk that you can get on sale, whatever. Just bring a bag of spinach if you must, which someone does. Just bring something to show gratitude for the host. And most likely what you get in return is what netizens refer to as, quote, full service. Undoubtedly, a lot of these guys find this to be a practically free exchange. I mean, a lot of the stuff you can find in your own freezer. They put in zero emotional effort, no dates, no paying for dinners, no relationships, no strings attached, and they don't have to pay for the services because Uncle Red is willing to do it in exchange for a half-filled Dasani water bottle of peanut oil. In fact, a lot of streamers will barely give their top donors the time of day unless they're dropping thousands of dollars on them, let alone meet up with them in person. But Uncle Red's fan service, if you will, is so good that Uncle Red will take anyone in. These are how netizens are saying they think that this whole scam started, this whole crime started. Uncle Red won't even make fun of you for buying a $3 bottle of oil and taking half of it and giving Uncle Red only half the bottle of oil. Instead, Uncle Red will guide the men to the tiny thin mattress in the corner and spend about 30 minutes with them. Now, up until this point, all of this is consensual. Like, these men are coming to Uncle Red's house. They're not being forced to stay there. They're not being forced to partake in any intimate relations or activities. So all of this, like, no part of this so far is a crime. Mm-hmm. Some of these men may have realized that the market price and what Uncle Red are offering is kind of a steal. It's a good bargain. Uncle Red's apartment is difficult to find, but even then, still a bargain. It's a basement unit and it's dimly lit. Kind of has a bunkerish feel to it, which is what netizens say. I will say it's very sparsely furnished, just a collapsible table, mini fridge, a bed, and a built-in closet with a sink next to it and a bathroom off to the side. It's not exactly homey, but some of the guys have to turn on their phone flashlights to even find the door to Uncle Red's unit. And we know this because a lot of them are captured on the video walking in with their phone flashlight on. But it's seemingly worth it, because right when they walk in, Uncle Red will place pink slippers in front of them. Sometimes Uncle Red will even wash fruit, cut the fruit, make small talk, make the guys feel comfortable, and then they get into the festivities for free. Well, for the price of a watermelon. But there is a saying that a lot of people use in marketing, which is, if it's free, that means you are likely the product. Because in the middle of Uncle Red's apartment is a tiny little hole. And hiding inside that tiny little hole is a hidden camera. And when these men leave, Uncle Red pulls out the SD card, starts importing the footage to go through. Even in illegal businesses, there seems to be some sort of quality control because Uncle Red will sort through the footage, cutting out the, quote, boring parts and the not exciting parts, trim down the hidden camera footage to just the highlights, which includes the men walking in with the grocery store gift in their hand, awkwardly saying hello, Uncle Red saying hello, hugging them, and then the opening line for almost every single 1,000+ guest is along the lines of, did you wash yourself first? Go clean yourself. They will then be escorted to the bathroom like a stray dog, where you hear the water turn on, they rinse themselves, walk out, and there are pink slippers awaiting them. From there, the camera captures them unzipping, receiving, and then none of their faces are blurred. None of their identities are hidden, and Uncle Red is selling these videos, this massive collection of videos in Telegram group chats. News breaks of Uncle Red's arrest, and suddenly all of Nanjing and China are kind of going into a meltdown. The only reason I even first heard about this case, I mean, I did start getting hundreds of emails, but the very first time I heard about this case, my husband's sister came over and she was trying to explain the story, and it looked like it was fundamentally changing the wiring of her brain. Like, she was losing her mind at not only the case itself, but also the internet's reaction to the case. Like, it was just everywhere. She said you can't even go onto any Chinese social media platform without this being the main conversation. Like, if you don't know Uncle Red, you don't know half the jokes people are making, you don't know what half the people are talking about. You could post a video of your dog and in the comments there will be references to Uncle Red or jokes about Uncle Red somehow fitted in there. It's like a cultural phenomenon. The more she knows about this case, the more questions. Like, for one, how did Uncle Red even get arrested? July of 2025, a man walks into the police station in Nanjing, China to report very simply that his private moments were secretly recorded and they're circulating online. He knows where the videos were taken, he knows who took the video, and he's going to lead the police straight to her. That's about all he says to the police. Police head to the basement unit of Uncle Red, they knock on the door, and since Uncle Red was not expecting any company, Uncle Red does not have his live stream fit on, and they realize, okay, this is a little confusing because the man who reported it to me said that this was a woman in a bunker type style basement unit who took these videos, but now I'm looking at a middle-aged man. Maybe it's his wife, but it's not, it's him. They promptly
You know, two thoughts that really, actually a few thoughts that really came to me, but two thoughts that keep coming back to me is for the longest time, people didn't know who this was, but he lives in an apartment unit and having guests like almost every single day. I guess maybe neighbors kind of just minded their business, right? But he also lives like in more so basement level, right? If I heard that right. Then the second, what was the second one? It was just a lot of
arrest
thoughts
him.
circulating.
And they realize that Uncle Red has likely made over $35,000 selling these videos in these
Jeez.
group chats, which could explain why Uncle Red perhaps did not have a deep yearning to receive expensive gifts from the men that came over. The whole... Okay, this is where I, again, get a little bit confused by the internet reaction, because I will say the selling of the videos online is reminiscent to other cases that we've covered, such as Enthrium. I don't know if it compares in severity, and I don't think it would be appropriate to compare the severity of certain cases. However, the business idea is similar in the
Yeah, that
sense
thought
Uncle Red
crossed my
will
mind
join a Telegram
also.
group chat or start one. He will charge $20 for a video in the group chat. After spending $20, if you want to see other videos or more videos, instead of receiving further payment, Uncle Red will ask that you invite 3 people into the group chat that will be willing to spend $20. So it seems like a very well thought out business plan. It's a
Who are the
referral
weirdos that
program
are
for new
buying
customer
these videos?
acquisition, which what can only be described as Uncle Red's blooming illegal video criminal enterprise. July 5th, 2025, authorities in Nanjing release a brief statement that they have put an end to said illegal video sharing by Uncle Red. Within hours, news of this arrest starts trending, which would make sense if Uncle Red was a famous live streamer that had just gotten arrested, but that's not the case. Because within hours, Uncle Red's arrest is at the top of the trending list. 89 separate media outlets have started reporting on the case, and in just 3 hours, 350 million people have clicked on any article regarding Uncle Red, someone that the entire country had no clue even existed two seconds ago.
300 million clicks?
350 million clicks in 3 hours.
Whoa.
Jeez.
Interestingly enough, this is where things get weird and controversial because people have very wild reactions to the whole case. First, people are doing the math. 1691, that's about 2,000 men, gone to Uncle Red's house in 3 years. That's about 1.5 men per day, with speculative reports estimating that there's about 5 terabytes of footage out there, which equates to about 3,000 hours of footage. That's a lot of activity. And that's not him even, I mean, he's got to lure these men somehow, so he's talking to people online. Let's say it takes about an hour to at least talk to someone to the point where they can come over to your house and do those intimate relations. I mean, this is like a full-time job. Most of the videos are also the same, which depicts Uncle Red performing oral activities on the guest. And then usually, unceremoniously, Uncle Red will turn around without taking off any clothing, just lifting up the back of his maxi skirt, and then just like backing up into the man in question. Now, this is the part where I report to you all of the internet reactions regarding
Okay.
Uncle Red. And again, am I saying that these are appropriate reactions to a situation like this? No, that's not at all.
Think because I was questioning that earlier. It's like, how do the men not know? Because even that report of the man who walked into police department is like, hey, I was secretly recorded and I will take you to the woman who did it. I was like, okay, what exactly entails sexual activity? And because he didn't really take it that far. There's some you know. So I was like, is it blow? Is it handy? Like, what are we talking about here? But okay, we got
I'm saying. I am just here
The
to tell
idea
you
of
what
it.
people have been saying online, what the general consensus has been, the types of memes that have come out of this, just so you understand the full totality of this case. The initial reaction across China seemed to be a mixture of shock, rage, and confusion, but with a lot of women, particularly on Douyin, on TikTok, that are just squinting at the collage of men's faces, praying that they don't see a boyfriend, fiance, husband, dad, whoever. Some even go online to report, hey, so I did find my dad in one of the thumbnails, and I don't know if I'm supposed to tell my mom. I need advice. Others say, okay, well, at least yours is kind of a more simple situation where you should probably tell your mom. For me, it's different because I found my colleague. A lot of people report finding their colleague or brother or someone that's like distant enough that you definitely don't want to confront them with it. You have nobody else to talk to about it. And now you're just stuck with this information. One comment reads, I was here for the drama, but then I found my brother-in-law in one of those pictures. And we thought he was working, but turns out he was at Uncle Red's house and he showed up with a carton of milk. So that's very awkward. On Chinese dating apps right now, and again, is this appropriate? That's not up for me to decide. I'm just letting you know. The biggest red flag that a lot of Chinese women state is that if a man writes that they are from Nanjing, even though it's a massive city with 9 million people, they think it's inappropriate. One netizen shared her dating profile, which reads, requirements for boyfriend. 1, not from Nanjing. 2, must not have been to, stopped by, or traveled through Nanjing in the recent years. The comments under her post are agreeing with her, writing, yeah, I'm not going to date Nanjing men in the foreseeable future. I'm also going to abstain from those who have even stopped by Nanjing for work. Other netizens expressed just sudden disinterest in men completely, writing, I've just been uninterested in men these days. When I look at them, I just feel like all of them have slept with Uncle Red. I don't know what exactly that means. I don't know if it's the fact that 1,691, you get it. But another one writes, does anyone understand my pain? When I walk around Nanjing, because I'm from Nanjing, I just feel like every guy I see, I just picture them with Uncle Red instantly. I
kind of get the idea of what they think. It's almost like I'm just using it in my example of how I picture things. Being interested in this type of, field, like true crime and everything. Say watching Stephanie Sue, Rotten Mango videos, and then you're like walking down the street and it's like, anyone who passes by me, anybody sitting by me on this bus, anybody like in this store, in this restaurant, whatever the case may be, could be a serial killer. It's almost like that thought, right? This girl's walking down the street and it's like, has any of these men also slept with Uncle Red?
look at them. With the consensus being on many Chinese platforms that the biggest diss that you can throw at someone is telling them that their husband or father is from Nanjing. There have been lots of memes that have occurred from this case and this situation. I mean, when you travel to a new city, there is a TripAdvisor must-eat list on there. Well, on there, the number one must-eat list is a 38-year-old man, which, side note, a lot of initial reports stated that Uncle Red was 60 years old. He's not 60, he's 38 years old. But it is must-eat 38-year-old man named Uncle Red. And then the Red Gate banquet list goes viral. People have given nicknames and created these AI videos. A lot of people have dubbed Uncle Red. And again, this is for, if you look up this case, you're going to see a lot of these references online. And I'm not saying that these are appropriate, but a lot of people have dubbed Uncle Red Nanjing Zero online, which I was thinking, okay, there has been discourse that we're going to cover in a second about perhaps there being not enough usage of protection and things that can deter you from getting an STD. So maybe they're calling him Nanjing Zero because they're trying to make some sort of joke or some sort of meme about him being patient zero and he's like passing on things to other people because they're just all doing it willy-nilly, like all 2,000 of them. But I came to the very interesting conclusion that zero in China refers to bottoms.
Yes.
And one refers to tops. And Tiffany and I, my sister-in-law and I had a very uncomfortable conversation where she was like, okay, so let me explain.
What's funny is Tiffany didn't know what top and bottom means. She actually only knew what 1 and 0 means.
Yeah.
So it's like, you have to double translate what top and bottom means to her, and then she's like, oh yeah, that's 1 and that's 0.
And then I had to double check that this was not like an offensive term in China. And then she was like, no, she was showing me these doing videos of guys who are like, oh, I'm a 1, and then it's like thirst traps. So I was like, okay, it seems like a normal thing that they talk about. But that has become another meme. And there has been, aside from the chaos and discrimination, it's not even just stopping at men from Nanjing, but also fitness men. So remember the 1 through 10 ranking that there was?
The muscle
Those
man.
are the top 10 men that netizens find the most interesting and or appealing from Uncle Red's guest list, if you will. And they have been ranked. I'm not even going to go on to what it's like to rank victims of these intimate videos being leaked, but it's been done, and these have been circulating, and everybody has been referencing them. Number 3 on the top 10 list for Uncle Red is actually a pretty famous fitness influencer on the app, Red Note, 小红书.
小红书,
And it's relatively easy for netizens to connect the dots because even when he went to go see Uncle Red, he's wearing this black Under Armour shirt with a big white bull on the front and a pair of Adidas Ultra Boosts that he always wears in his fitness videos, and he has a very distinctive look. And after these videos leaked online, he changed one of his social media bios to just read, I've already filed a police report, my life is a mess, and I'm planning to leave Nanjing for another city. Stop sharing the leaked footage. Then, ranked number 2 out of the 10 is someone netizens have dubbed the 4 Seasons man. Because a lot of netizens, after this news broke out, they actually, it's like the Barbara Streisand effect. It's what happens in a lot of crimes like this is people will go out and seek the footage afterwards. It draws more attention to said footage, and people have been piecing together who is who and what is what. And I will say some netizens do say we have to do this because a lot of these people are not going to come forward. A lot of them are married, a lot of them have children, a lot of them have other partners that may not know that they're visiting Uncle Red and may want to get tested, or may not know that they're having other intimate relations. So that's kind of been one conversation of why they're scouring through the videos.
Side?
Others say it's just for fun, which is a very morally debatable dilemma that we can go down. But there is one guide called the 4 Seasons Man, and it is because he has been seen in 4 different videos, and it's in each of the seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter. And you can see in his attire, in one he is wearing full-on winter gear, thermal puffer jacket. Summer, he's wearing lighter clothes, and that man is visiting Uncle Red all 4 seasons.
They all look about the
Then
same.
in first place.
The
So a lot of the
outfits.
1 through 10,
What?
they made the top 10 either because they're attractive, like the leather jacket guy that cheated on his fiance, or because of the unique gifts that they brought, i.e. Watermelon Man. But the number 1 place is I'm already here, might as well. And this has actually turned into a very famous phrase in lots of countries in Asia. That is what this man has been dubbed online. Netizens came up with this name because reportedly in the leaked video, it appears that when he gets to Uncle Red's house, he realizes that Uncle Red is probably an uncle. So Uncle Red goes by Sister Red online, and so he gets there and he's like, okay, I don't think this is Sister Red. So he starts confronting Uncle Red, asking, are you a man or a woman? Are you a man or a woman? And this is going to be another more dilemma that we're going to go down, and lots of people have been having debates about it, but right now, pause on that. He's asking, are you a man or a woman? Uncle Red lies and says, I'm a woman, I'm a woman. He does not believe him. He's like, I don't believe you. So then finally, Uncle Red tells him, well, I'm going to call the police if you keep harassing me and asking me these questions. And he has this moment, reportedly in the video, where he thinks about it. He ponders it. And then he decides, you know what? I'm already here. I might as well. And the next frame of him that netizens have clipped from that video is of him in likely a moment of pleasure. So it's now become a meme, again, wildly inappropriate. Nevertheless, I'm just reporting on what's happened. A meme shows a screenshot of the video where you can see him pondering, looking very pensive. And then right after it, right under it, it shows him looking up at the ceilings with his hands resting on his hips. And he looks like he is enjoying the moment. And it says, I'm already here. Something doesn't feel right, but might as well.
That is so
in Chinese,
disturbing.
like Lila. It's like really viral.
These have gone very viral, and pretty quickly everyone found out who the might as well guy even is. He works as a teacher from one of the elite Shanghai kindergartens, and if you're wondering, a lot of people actually traveled to Nanjing to meet up with Uncle Red.
Oh.
Yes. So the kindergarten that he works at, to go there.
Wow, y'all are so desperate. Really? You're gonna travel that far? I mean, people have done worse, right? But that is so desperate. That little snippet was really uncomfortable to see. Because I have wondered that also, like, how do they not know? Once again, even even just through the first visual, outside of maybe if they did video interactions, like in person visuals. I was wondering if anybody had figured it out. And there's, out of all the people, right, out of 1,600, there has to be at least a handful. Here's one. And it looks like when he was questioning, are you a man or a woman? He's trying to like body check, it seemed. That was like, are they like fighting or something? So many things in that video is so
You
uncomfortable.
have to send your child there. You have to pay $22,000 a year for kindergarten to learn how to count to, I don't know, 26. It costs $22,000 a year. But I digress. The most appalling revelation, however, is that he has a wife and children. So he quickly deactivates his accounts. Everyone thought that he was just going to disappear off the internet, focus on his personal life. But no, not long after, a new Douyin account pops up with who only netizens can describe as being the doppelganger of this man posting workout videos in the similar fashion of the Might As Well guy before he deactivated his account. So comments start questioning him. Hey, did you, just delete your old account and start a new one with a fake name? He has since vehemently denied it, stating that you must have the wrong guy, which the comments read, dude, it's totally you. Same shoes, same tank top, same everything. Way too recognizable. You got the same height, same build, same everything.
Same
He too
face.
has a bit of a buff build and typically liked to post his workout selfies and shirtless photos on social media before everything blew up, which has now cemented this joke in a lot of netizens' minds that if you post shirtless workout selfies, then you remind everyone of Uncle Red's type, which are young, buff dudes. So now under random fitness influencers videos, there are comments that read, hold on, let me check my dictionary first. And the new term dictionary means the collage of men from Nanjing. 1,000 men pictures. Another one reads, please put your shirt back on, we're not in the mood these days. Another one reads, show this to Uncle Red, you're his type. Another one says, what number are you for Uncle Red? Another says, brother, please stop showing off. Everyone is trying to find out which one you look like. Another reads, either put your shirt on first. Currently, we feel nothing. The moment we see someone flexing muscles, all we can think about is whether or not you have kissed Uncle Red. Or another one that simply states, let's not talk about whether or not you are popular. First, you need to tell us if you've been to Nanjing. To which some netizens find the whole social discourse very confusing, and they comment, imagine being a fitness guru right now. They write, quote, overnight, the thirst trap men watch their skies fall down. It's said that if you post fitness content and you're from Nanjing, you're almost obligated to add in your bio, have never seen Red Uncle. So example, there is an online user, a fitness guru from Nanjing called Chestnut Loves Spinach. That was his username. Now it's Chestnut Loves Spinach, parentheses, I swear I've never seen Uncle Red, end parentheses. So it's become a huge thing and people are still making memes out of it. So
I was curious throughout this whole thing, what the specific things in the videos that are capturing people's attention that makes this a memeable case as opposed to like a more serious case. Because there for sure is some very specific things that has that distinction versus that makes people make it into a meme versus like a serious case. And I guess that differs from person to person.
There's this one incident, including a foreigner, and that incident has since gone viral because when Uncle Red sees his private parts, Uncle Red... It's just interesting, like the amount of discourse that has occurred from this case is vast, and it's vastly different depending on where you look. So for these people, they're saying this is almost like a social experiment and we should treat it as such. And a lot of netizens have psychoanalyzed each video and each reaction to Uncle Red's video. So for example, when this foreigner walks in, people say Uncle Red has finally solved the debate of if size matters, because Uncle Red puts both of his hands out gas gasping and says, whoa, it's huge. And after they were done, Uncle Red paid him $14 for the experience. And the netizens state that even the foreigner looks confused and doesn't really appear to know what to do with the cash, with the $14. And then just to add more complexity to things, there are now AI videos that depict industry leaders visiting Uncle Red, including Jensen Huang of NVIDIA. I think it has to do with the fact that Jensen Huang, tech founder, has an obsession with black leather jackets, which happen to be from Tom Ford and probably cost lots of money, but that's like his Achilles heel, and it made him one of the more viral AI Uncle Red parodies in China, where he's coming to Uncle Red and giving him like an NVIDIA chip. Trump is also one of the AI videos. So people have created Lego sets for Uncle Red's place, which shows Uncle Red and men having intimate relations and a line of people waiting outside, waiting to get in. Some of them are holding watermelons, bottles of oil. Some netizens comment it's not the most realistic, stating that there's too much oil because a lot of these guys would only bring half the container of oil. Yeah. Others point to the pink slippers, and they've made memes of this pink slippers with zoomed in pictures of it saying, no one feels sorry for the slipper. It has been worn by over 1,000 people. Others have gone to recreate Uncle Red's, quote, iconic look by donning a wig with bangs, throwing on a mask, silky blouse, and a long skirt. Iconic look by donning people. Others have gone to recreate Uncle Red's, quote, iconic look by donning a wig with bangs, throwing on a mask, silky blouse, and a long skirt. And I will say, you know what this discourse is reminiscent of? Again, I'm not comparing severity. I'm just comparing crime happens discourse that is so big and almost all on the same level of dark humor. It reminds me of all the baby oil jokes. Where it's like the discourse is almost bigger than the case itself, and it's generally on the hee hee ha ha side and not the I'm gonna take this seriously side. So that's kind of what it's reminiscent of. So you have people recreating Uncle Red's iconic look, that's what they call it, by throwing on a mask, silky blouse, long skirt. There are fashion tutorials on how to achieve Uncle Red's makeup. Some clubs have even started adopting the Uncle Red memes with giant screens inside the club that read, anyone who is late with their round, dodges their shot, or doesn't focus on drinking is going to be sent straight to Uncle Red's house. That's what it says. There's just been a lot of reports and discourse and online conversations about the fact that Uncle Red was able to get so many men to come visit them. And in one video, according to reports, a foreigner is using an app. So foreigners will come, Uncle Red will use a translation app to even talk to them. There is nothing barring any guest from coming in and having intimate relations with Uncle Red. Uncle Red seems to be open to anybody. And they will be using this app to translate the conversation. And at one point, the foreigner pushes the phone towards Uncle Red, who is talking into the phone near the foreigner's face. And netizens believe that Uncle Red has very bad breath because the foreigner keeps looking away, sneaking in breaths of fresh air. And at one point, he just straight up covers his nose with his hand. But the main comment reads, the way he's gagging and covering his mouth when Uncle Red is talking. To which the next comment reads, but he still didn't leave.
And same, that thought came across my mind, I was gonna say. Like, wait, before she even said that, I was like, he's looking away. Why? Does he have like a stank breath or something? But then the next following thought, I was like, but you still stayed. You still wanted oral.
That is where the nickname that Uncle Red is an absolute manslayer comes about. And a lot of memes have spurred from the fact that netizens joke Uncle Red is eating better than them. They state that a lot of the men showing up to Uncle Red's apartment are young, good-looking, well-built guys that have a lot of people would have dated them. So why did they find Uncle Red instead of them? That's a huge conversation being thrown out. A new meme is where Uncle Red is using his tongue to try and pick out food that is stuck in between his teeth. And the words across the meme are, I'm eating better than you, sister. People start creating these AI videos of Uncle Red giving lectures, dating advice to women on how to capture, quote, good quality men, with the AI video showing someone who kind of appears to be Uncle Red in the same apartment, saying things such as, today I'm going to teach all my sisters how to get high quality household goods.
首先，我不要房，不要车，也不要彩礼，一个西瓜，一包纸巾。 半桶花生油我就很满足，希望不要成为男孩眼中的拜金女。第二，要给男人足够的情绪价值，哪怕3秒钟，不要夸他们很棒，提升他们的自信心是聪明女人必须掌握的技能。
Third, you have to be proactive and make the first move. But the truth of the matter is, no matter how good looking a guy is, when he is hungry, he will still eat trash. Unless he's very rich, then he will only eat Michelin star food. Sisters, follow Uncle Red to learn more. It's never too late to learn. Another Uncle Red lesson reads, Uncle Red teaches that attracting a man doesn't require thirst traps. A face mask, long skirt, long sleeves, and bangs are sufficient. Some netizens have called this a Black Mirror episode in real life. Others have called it a real life study. Studying what? We're not entirely sure yet, but a study of something. If you go through Chinese social media, there are pages of threads and threads of online netizens breaking down different types of discourse that is spurring because of the Uncle Red situation. One of them is breaking down the types of gifts that were brought to Uncle Red's house by these men and Uncle Red's reaction to these gifts. Some think that Uncle Red's always positive, always thankful reaction is the most intriguing part of this. Others think that the gifts that these men choose willingly is more insight on the psyche of humankind. They break it down. Some men have come empty-handed. It's been reported that Uncle Red never specifically demands anything to be brought to him, but these men bring stuff out of courtesy, and it's kind of awkward to go empty-handed. However, some men do. The others, all of these gifts are just like random household necessities that range from food products like a single watermelon, packets of milk. I mean, you would think that some of these netizens analyzing the gifts are doing dissertations, myself included, I guess, dissertations on this topic because they've broken down the types of milk that were gifted to Uncle Red. Milk is one of the more popular gifts, and almost every single time, all these men picked out the cheapest milk, the cheapest brand of milk, the cheapest type of milk, the cheapest kind of milk, the cheapest milk. There's one brand in China that is known for having milk that is cheaper than a bottle of water. A bottle of milk is cheaper than a bottle of water. That's the brand that almost all of them went with.
Kind of alarming.
Yeah, the milk was still considered a top-tier gift on the gift analysis hierarchy, with tissue paper being on the lower end. Almost all the men that brought tissue paper would bring like a small packet of tissue paper, like a 3-pack little Kleenex packet, but they would buy the cheapest one-ply tissue paper that if you were to try and wipe water off your hand, it would stick to your hand and disintegrate into white fluff all over your hand. How do netizens know this? A mixture of personal experience, and according to some netizens who have personally viewed the illegal footage, they state that after one man gifted the one-ply tissue paper, another man came over and used it to wipe their private parts, but the tissue paper disintegrated, leaving tens of little pieces of tissue paper on their private parts, and it is reported that this man spent quite a bit of time dusting it off of himself while Uncle Red just stood there watching and waiting. Another man brought a bag of fruit for Uncle Red, but apparently on the way, on the journey, on the trek to finding Uncle Red's place, he got so hungry that he ate half of the fruit.
Like, what do you mean ate half? Like half a watermelon type of half? Or just like a bag of apple? He ate half a bag. Okay.
But the top tier gift, the most expensive gift being cooking oil. One man was so stingy that he bought a bottle of cooking oil and he decided that he wasn't going to give Uncle Red all of the cooking oil. So he got a Dasani water bottle, filled that up with cooking oil, and brought the Dasani water bottle of cooking oil to Uncle Red's house.
Or it could just be leftover oil that he has at home.
Yeah.
Everyone's
Another
so
man
trash
brought
in this
one of the more
video.
valuable gifts. Some netizens have argued it's almost heartfelt, which is a fish. A fish that the man caught himself. Uncooked, still attached to the fishing wire, just like a live fish from the river. And Uncle Red's response in his soft voice was an encouraging, "Wow, you were able to catch such a big fish." Some joke that by this rate, after 3 years, Uncle Red should be able to open up his own grocery store, and people have created memes of photoshopped images of Uncle Red in his own grocery store. It is to the point where people say if you're a Nanjing local, it's best not to walk around with a single lone watermelon, a carton of milk, or a bottle of oil. And that has also led to a lot of deep analysis on the men. There have been so the moral dilemma, it's tenfold. So first of all, the moral dilemma is this an appropriate reaction that the internet and society can have to a situation like this, where everything is okay up until Uncle Red illegally films these without consent and then releases them online? Clearly, that's a very bad crime. These men are ultimately victims,
Right.
but is it okay to have this type of reaction? That's the first moral dilemma. The second moral dilemma comes in the fight of a lot of guys and women are fighting in the comments section. So a lot of girls, they are making jokes about this case. And they're saying, you know what? Because I feel like there are lots of crimes against women where men make jokes about it. I mean, take the Diddy baby oil situation, for example. Lots of jokes are being made. And so why do we have to suddenly be so sensitive when nobody is sensitive towards crimes against women? And so it's been like this back and forth, almost like a mini gender war at times. It's been really intense. And then there's also been conversations of why did all these men even go to Uncle Red's house? A lot of men have decided to take this as a teaching moment for women. And they are telling women it's because Uncle Red gives off energy where he will support men. And it's because all of these feminist gold diggers are just looking for Lamborghinis and not cooking oil. It's why women can't get any of these young straight men, and Uncle Red is getting all of them. And
but you know what it's giving a little bit? To me, the thought that came across my mind when being told majority of these really not well thought of, meaningful. I mean, you're not really gonna come up to the apartment with like, something super extravagant. I'm, but to me, the thought that came across is just like throwing a penny at this one person and be like, here, it's, get on your knees and give me oral. That's the thought that it's giving me. It's like so disrespectful, but there's so many factors in this case that it's just like, okay, you're trash, but you are also trash. Everyone in this case is trash. Like, if the only way this would be like okay and be like, okay, well, it's not my business, is if the man who came to the apartment isn't married, no relationship or anything, no girlfriend, no whatever the case may be. They come to the premise knowing that Uncle Red is in woman cosplay. It's really weirdly, confusingly worded, but secretly recording, wrong. Going to the premise if you are in a relationship, wrong. There's just a lot of
that's
things.
become a whole conversation itself.
Yeah. I saw one. It was like a guy, the girlfriend was like, I want a new iPhone. And then he flashed back to Uncle Red.
Yeah.
Like only wanting a Apple.
Yeah. So one netizen breaks it down of Uncle Red's allure, and he says, Uncle Red's videos actually sneak in a whole crash course on how to treat men. The second a guy walks in through the door, Uncle Red greets him like an old friend, not with a stuck up like, what do you want? Why are you here face? Which, like, I don't know anyone who does that, but okay.
Right?
A second, yeah, the apartment is decent at best, but it feels cozy, like a home. 3, he even washes fruit, hands it over. Even for a casual fling, he gets treated like an honorable guest at Uncle Red's. 4, he takes charge to initiate physical conduct instead of just laying there like a dead starfish. He's fully engaged. 5, when a couple of guys get overwhelmed and get performance anxiety down there, Uncle Red doesn't roll his eyes or pile on pressure. He eases the awkwardness and gets them back in the game. 6, he has thick lips. One netizen agrees, saying Uncle Red has proved to women that men are not actually picky. But a lot of women have a lot of things to say about that, obviously, with one comment reading, I want to thank Uncle Red for getting rid of so many red flags for us.
That list was really goofy. You think it would really be this whole performance service thing if maybe Uncle Red wasn't earning so much money? And say if that's Uncle Red's not purpose of getting money and it's just, gay, right? Then, see, there's just so many factors here. Like, y'all.
Us. And they're not even talking about the men in the videos. They're talking about people saying things like this about Uncle Red. So it's become another moral dilemma. One netizen even comments, his voice is gentler than 80% of Chinese women, which I'm telling you, Chinese women had a field day with that comment. Another one comments, Uncle Red reflects the emptiness in the Chinese man's heart. Their wives are too fierce. At least Uncle Red is submissive. Another group of men.
Yes, you see, that's what it's giving with majority or a lot of these men, because we don't know all the 1,600. It's just that Uncle Red is giving very, very easy access to you being pleasured, very submissive, that you don't even have to put in the effort of bringing in like a decent, very nice gift or anything. It's just like, here's a bag of apples. I ate half of it, so get on your knees and give me oral. It's giving that energy. And it's like that they don't even care to really look closely and know that this is a man in really bad straight wig, overly lined lips, not even like, I guess Uncle Red's maybe wearing like a turtleneck so they can't really tell. Like really fully covered foundation. It's just, yes, this person is willing to please me, so please me like that.
Are just fully outraged that women are not outraged at this situation because the victims are men, stating that women would have been more outraged had the victims been women. And women are agreeing, saying, yeah, but when have you been outraged? Last time, the list of victims were women. Like, men are never outraged. It's women being outraged for women, and now the men are the victims. You guys go be outraged. We're tired. So that's been another whole collective discourse of like, why are women being held to greater, higher standards than men? And why do we have to be the emotional outrage factor for every single crime that's ever been committed if men don't do the same for women? So that's been a conversation. A lot of women are also expressing frustration that a lot of men are using this to teach their girlfriends, wives, and random internet women lessons on how to be more generous and less demanding in order to get a man. There is also a debate online, a completely separate debate, of whether or not Uncle Red disclosing or not that he is a man to the male guests is a violation of consent or not. With people debating online, if they don't know that Uncle Red is a man and they are catfished under the impression that he is a woman, is that a crime in and of itself? Or is that some sort of moral dilemma in and of itself? I think the conversation is tricky because when it comes to disclosure of genders, usually I'm on the side of people that have not had gender affirming surgery will usually, for their own safety, disclose to their partners prior to intimacy. And also because they even state preference for certain equipment. It has no correlation to any sort of homophobia, transphobia. Like sometimes you're just not attracted to certain body parts. And so you want to let them know like, hey, I might have a body part that you're not attracted to. So let me tell you before we get started. However, Uncle Red is not a member of the trans community. And this is clearly not a normal situation. Uncle Red's main objective here is to profit off these hidden camera videos. And side note, that's another moral dilemma of like, he's genuinely perpetuating homophobia and transphobia through this case. So it's not good. But the fact that he's not disclosing that he's a man, I mean, it's up for debate. A lot of people are debating whether that goes against consent. I
mean, I think that's wrong. But that thought also came across my head. And I was like, I should be really careful about this because, I mean, like what Stephanie was saying, right? But I was like, no, that's not the case here. And the thought specifically that came across my mind earlier on in the video when looking at the victims coming to this apartment is, oh, I feel like a lot of them are in relationships or consider themselves straight because they were lured here in the premise that Uncle Red is a woman, sister Red, right? Um, but I don't want to like put that claim on these men because maybe that's not the case, right? But say it is, how they don't want to be a part of any relation with another man, and they would be super take a lot of offense by it. Like, how do I word it that it's not confusing? Like, if one of these men were to be like, oh, I'm not into that gay shit and stuff like that, you know? Like super nasty about it. But they come to a place like this where they are being having intercourse with a man and they just don't know it or they choose to ignore it, like that one guy who was like, "Are you a man or a woman?" And it's like, might as well. But you're never going to share that, huh? And you're going to constantly claim yourself as a straight man.
I mean, it's up for debate. A lot of people are debating whether that goes against consent. Many netizens have gone through the footage and sorted these men into 3 different categories. The first group being a group of men that do not ask Uncle Red about his gender, likely not even thinking about it. They have intimate relations, and because of the way Uncle Red lifts up his skirt and very quickly moves things along, they may not have even noticed anything about what equipment Uncle Red possesses down there. With some netizens arguing, just because the men don't ask doesn't make it less deceitful. Some saying, well, they didn't know, so it doesn't matter. But then some are saying, maybe if it wasn't for the videos being released, because maybe if they didn't know, it didn't matter to them. They didn't ask. Uncle Red didn't tell them. And then they had these consensual, intimate relations. That's fine. But then now these videos are being posted online without their consent. And then add the element that we still live in a society, especially in Asian countries, where there is a lot more homophobia that can actually,
There's that factor.
I mean, even in
into
the
it as
US,
well.
still, even in Western countries, that can ruin your life, that can take away your job, that can do all of these things. Does that make it less consensual because of the video element? I mean, you could go down this entire rabbit hole, black hole for like 10 years. And then you have a second group of people from the victims list where they discover that Uncle Red is a man and they don't care, with a few even reciprocating oral activities. There's no debate there until you get to the illegal videos. And then you have the
Right,
third group of people that
yes.
have their suspicions, or they straight up ask Uncle Red, like the might as well guy, and he lies to them. There's one video where a man starts interrogating him, like, is that a, and he flat out lies. Uncle Red is like, don't be ridiculous, you're seeing wrong. And from there, some of these men will run away. Uncle Red does not hold them captive, but still, that's not saying much. And then others are staying and just pushing through the activities. Netizens are arguing whether or not straight up lying is a violation against the men. If the answer is yes, it is a violation, then the next argument dilemma is, then what about the ones that continue to stay afterwards, even though netizens claim that you can see on their faces that they don't believe Uncle Red? Is that still a violation against them? Is that not a violation? People are saying it's just very confusing, and I think that everybody has a different opinion about this case. Some are saying you can't have these debates without bringing in the illegal filming and releasing of these videos factor. Because maybe if they
That's
knew the
the
whole world
main
was going to find out
point.
about it, they would have asked. Maybe they wouldn't have stayed because maybe they're not homophobic, but they're scared of being outed. Maybe they genuinely thought that Uncle Red was a woman. Like, it's very confusing.
Yeah.
It's like a moral conundrum, I guess, is how people describe it. And then there is the morality of doxing the victims. So there has been a lot of debate of, would this have happened if the victims were women? And okay, I will say one thing, which is when we do a lot of research for these cases, I think it's a really good conversation of like 2 things can be true at once. I think male victims,
Agreed.
especially when it's crimes, like sexual crimes, especially when the perpetrator is a woman and it's a male victim, they do not get taken seriously. However, I don't think we can always say, would this have happened if the woman was the victim? Because, I mean, there's so many cases where women are the victims, a lot of cases where women are the victims. They're laughed at, they're mocked, nothing happens, they get injustice. So it almost insinuates that if you're a female victim, you're gonna get justice. Everyone's gonna stick up for you, which is not the case at all. So I think 2 things can be true at once. However,
Agreed.
this I might agree with, because there has been a lot of social media discourse about the titles of the videos that people are re-releasing these illegal footage videos under. So a lot of these websites have taken these videos and started creating eye-catching titles. For example, one reads, "Buzz cut, anxious guy, brother says nothing, just keeps taking off his clothes. Looks like he's getting ready to fight." Another one reads, "Milk guy knows Uncle Red has been working hard taking care of so many people, brings milk to help Uncle Red recover." Another one just reads, "Done in a minute." Another one, "Die hard fan of Uncle Red, returns multiple times." Another, a carton of milk and a packet of tissues in exchange for Red's private time. Another, watermelon brother brings coolness to Uncle Red's scorching hot summer. Who wouldn't love such a thoughtful man? So some people are saying if these were illegal videos of women that were taken without their consent, would they have been released? But then you have some women fighting back and they're saying, actually, they would have, and they would have created titles like this. But what's crazy is it happens so often, it actually doesn't make the news. And that's why you don't think it happens.
You know, literally, as we speak, there's a huge Anthroom case in China that's happening at the same time.
Oh, I do think I got some emails
never
about
ends.
that.
Yeah, which everyone's talking about this. Yeah.
So it's like
never
just when you
ends.
think, okay, that's a good point, then someone will come and say, no, it's because you're just unaware. Because when it's a female victim, it happens so frequently, it doesn't really make the news unless it's a massive scale operation. So it's been this huge back and forth. And one of the main topics being who defines victim? Are these men victims or not? Because a lot of people are also saying a lot of these men, they're here to take advantage of someone. They're here to take advantage of Uncle Red. And yeah, it's consensual, but like they're not perfect victims. Others are arguing a lot of these men got caught cheating on their wives. A lot of these men have families. A lot of these men have girlfriends, fiancés. So are they a victim? If they came here to do something bad and then something backfires, is it karma or is it victimization? That's been a conversation online. I'm not saying that's my conversation.
That's a good point that came across my
And
head
some people
also.
are even saying that the meme culture around this case is a lot. People have started creating
It is.
anime business cards. So you know you do like the character. It's like it gives you a rating for. It's like a video game.
Oh.
Not
Are
anime,
you
like
talking
video
about
game.
like Pokemon cards type of?
Kind of,
It's a
but they
fruit
have
fly,
it's like a thing now where you do it business style as well. So it's almost like characters in someone's office building.
Okay.
And you describe their personality and you rank them by appearance, EQ, IQ, overall ratings, stuff like that.
Okay. Oh, got it.
They do stars and then they have like a cartoon character that they've drawn out of these guys from the video. And so, for example, one is nicknamed Strong Work Smell Guy, which is a term for in China where you're just overworked, exhausted, stressed out, and you carry around this scent of work with you. Like you just never can escape the idea that work is very depressing and everyone can feel it off of you. He comes over to Uncle Red's house. The two of them have their intimate relations. He wraps up rather quickly. Uncle Red asks him for $138, to which he responds, "My wife has all the money. If you want, go ask her." And then he runs off. He has his own little character card and people are ranking him like 1 out of 5 stars. Others have described incredibly intense psychoanalysis of people's visits to Uncle Red's house, with one netizen post reading, "This guy never cares about hygiene and always complains a lot. He always looks guarded, looks around carefully, doesn't even want to wash up for Uncle Red. He hates the way Uncle Red looks. He only talks about how he feels and he uses and trashes so many tissues. It's a blatant disregard for others and their belongings. He's selfish, seems to hate Uncle Red, but it's all a facade because he's come back multiple times and this is a reoccurring visitor." Then another one gets a card, and his name is just character number 2, Stingy Chubby Guy. It reads, "Came empty-handed, bargained while doing the housework, didn't cooperate well, only did part of the quote chores, and left in a hurry." Another one reads, "Fruit Uncle. He's very warm and kind when he visits the elderly." Parentheses, Uncle Red. "He brings fruit and gives him a big hug to show he cares. He's also hardworking, so he does the chores. When he leaves, he'll even take out the trash. He's really amazing. We are also moved." Then another one. "This guy has a hot temper, is very straightforward, but the contract is already signed. He's already here. He will fulfill the agreement. At least he keeps his promises." Or another one that reads, "Thermal Pants Guy. Whenever he comes in for a meeting, he wears the same brown outfit with thermal pants. Every time he talks about the plan, he's very supportive, saying encouraging things like, 'If you do well, you'll get a bonus.' His ability is pretty sharp and he seems to enjoy discussing the plan. He shows a strong willingness to work together and collaborate." Then you have people under these saying, is this actually appropriate to make for victims of crimes? And then people will fight back and comment, well, are they really victims if they're cheating? If they're putting their family at risk? Because there were reports coming out stating that these men from Uncle Red's videos, a lot of the videos, you can see sometimes that they will find certain fluids around their private parts that seem to be suspicious looking. And it seems like they have blatant disregard for their health, for their intimate health. And if they're married, if they're dating someone else, they could be spreading these things on unknowingly to people that some people on the internet believe are the true victims. Some people are saying the only victims really in this case are the wives and the girlfriends that are dating the men that are going to Uncle Red's house. It was briefly reported by the media that 11 of the men from Uncle Red's videos were tested and positive for HIV, but the police quickly shut that down, saying that's nothing but rumors. However, they later state there are like 3 people that did test.
I mean, you can't really say out of 1,690 something, 93, 97, something like that. A handful of them doesn't have something. You can't say that. I don't believe you. Because the thought also is if they come to Uncle Red, is Uncle Red the only one they come to for intercourse or something like that? Or do they go to other people on top of Uncle Red?
As positive for HIV. However, it's unclear if it's connected to Uncle Red. In fact, they cannot release if Uncle Red has any sort of contagious disease, STD or HIV, because that would be a violation of his privacy, which a lot of netizens are upset about because they're like, a violation of his privacy? He violated so many people's privacy. Release that information.
Yeah, and then like, you know, all the people that's connected, 1,600 people connects to thousands of people.
Now, the authorities have stated that the 1,000+ number is a gross exaggeration. However, netizens don't believe the authorities. Netizens are like, I saw the pictures, I saw the videos, I'm believing the rumors. It's a lot of guys. Maybe it's not 1,600, maybe it's 1,500, maybe it's 900. Does it matter? It's a lot of guys.
Still a lot.
That's what netizens are saying. People are also annoyed because the government can't do anything. However, they are opening up their health center for a free HIV test if you feel like you are in fear of contracting something.
Oh, because of this?
Yes. In
Oh, really?
Nanjing. Yes.
Oh, wow. So they do think there could be a lot of people that needs to get checked up.
Yes.
Wow.
So some people have used this as, see, these men are not victims. In fact, the only victims are their families that are at home or their wives and their girlfriends. Others are saying, well, they are victims because they're at risk and Uncle Red probably didn't tell them. But then the other argument is, well, they knew what they're going when they're going there. Like, they're not just going there to show up. So it's just been this carnival ride loop around of debate.
I see the whole debate. I see why there's so many debates on this. In the beginning, I was like, why is there such a big debate? But I guess we'll get into it once we get more details. I was like, okay, once we got a lot more of the information, I'm like, okay, I see why there's a bunch of debates. Victims of being secretly recorded without their consent, sure. But
Side note, some netizens also believe that this case is weeding out the not-so-bright men from the bright one. One boyfriend proudly texted his girlfriend that he bought a self-test kit at home since he had recently gone on a business trip to Nanjing, and he proudly stated that he tested negative. And he was very proud of him. Yeah, he proudly stated that he tested negative, and he was very proud of himself for thinking ahead. And his girlfriend's response was obviously very cold and detached. And he says, "You're so cold. I'm safe, baby. Are you not happy?" To which netizens think this is the epitome of an empty mind. That was probably up to no good.
why would you?
That
With
is
one comment
crazy.
reading, "A business trip? So frightened you took a test immediately? If he didn't cheat on this business trip,
Right?
why would he need to take a test to begin with?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not like you catch it through the air."
Wow. The girlfriend posted that?
Yeah.
Wow.
And with this HIV scare that's happening, a lot of people in the LGBTQIA community are upset because it's like, again, are we really going to do this again where we are creating these homophobic, fear-based situations of the correlation
Yeah.
between gay men and HIV? And it's just, I can see how
Right.
infuriating that is. Specifically because I do think Uncle Red got off on duping straight men into believing that he was a woman. I think that was also part of the quote allure for selling these videos.
Yeah.
I think the people that were purchasing these videos, that was a huge element. It's very annoying. There have also been conversations on
Right. That was a big part of what I brought up earlier is like what makes this a really memeable case versus a very serious case. Like what is a point that citizens are seeing this and being like, nah, this is more memeable than serious. And I thought that uh Uncle Red, a man cosplaying as a woman is a big part of it, and luring men in on that premise is
On
a big
whether or
part of it.
not this is a comparable situation to Bonnie Blue. Bonnie Blue, if you don't know, is, I think she's based in the UK. Is she British? I'm not sure, but she's an OnlyFans model who recently broke the record of sleeping with like 1,000 men
Oh
in 12
yeah, I
hours in a
remember
day.
that.
1,000 men. And she got a lot of hate. I mean, it made news internationally.
Like, what
People
was the purpose of
hated
that?
her. Versus Uncle Red, I think he's almost become a meme to the point where I don't think people hate him per se. They just make fun of him. I don't think there's this like deep rooted, I despise you, you're setting humanity back. Whereas that was the case with Bonnie Blue. And there has been this debate of, wait, why is a woman who does it consensually with men that are consensual, with men that know everything about her, and she's very proactive about STD health and preventing STDs, why does she get hate, but this man who's doing it is almost become a legend? Then a lot of guys come in and they're arguing, oh, well, you know why? It's because in Bonnie Blue's situation, the real victim are women, because women feel like she's perpetuating negative stereotypes about women and creating this stigma that women should be open and available for men and are obsessed with just like anyone on the street. Whereas in Uncle Red's situation, he's only victimizing men. And so these men are saying that's why women don't care. And that's why the world hates Bonnie Blue, because the ultimate victim is probably Bonnie Blue and other women. And whereas for Uncle Red, it's just men. But then there's been a lot of pushback on that as well. There's even been pushback on Uncle Red's name. So a lot of Chinese female netizens are really upset because initially he was called Uncle Red. And then people started calling him Sister Red or like Red Auntie.
Also, just for
Yes.
clarification, some people call it Uncle Hong.
Yes.
Hong. So HONG is the Chinese word for red.
Yes.
That's why people call it Sister Hong, Uncle Hong. It just means red in Chinese.
And a lot of Chinese female netizens were upset and they were stating, stop calling him Sister Hong. Like, there are 0 women involved. This is a man's crime. Don't drag women into it. Like, this is a man targeting men, harming men. And why do we have to call him a woman? And I think it has to do with the fact that he never states that. It has nothing to do with the trans community. It genuinely just seems like he
Yeah,
did
of
this because
course.
it's part of the allure. It's part of the videos. It's part of maybe a kink that he has, is to trick straight men. So a lot of people were upset about that in China. And they're saying, it doesn't make sense why we have to make him Sister Hong. With a lot of female Chinese netizens fighting back and saying, if a woman had genuinely secretly recorded and leaked footage of her sleeping with over 1,000 men, sold the footage without the men's consent, and profited money off of it, she would have been eaten alive online. But Uncle Red has become a meme. So this is not a woman. Like, this is Uncle Red. He's never identified as a woman outside of committing these crimes. So what are we doing here? That's been a huge argument. Others are arguing Uncle Red did nothing wrong except for the videos. They're saying having sex with men is not wrong as a man. And everyone's like, wait, but we
The videos, lying about your gender, and
know that. So that's just been like a weird
Who knows what else?
conversation. But some people are commenting justice for Uncle Red. He did nothing wrong. Those men wanted it. I mean, I think that has a deeper meaning than just the words on the screen, though, because those men wanted it. That sounds like a play on when female victims want it. With one netizen also writing, I think apart from the secret filming and cheating, there is nothing to criticize. There's nothing wrong with being gay, being bi, but there's nothing wrong with
Yeah, of
dating or hooking up.
course.
There's nothing wrong with liking Uncle Red's appearance either, which a lot of people are like, well, now you're just boiling it down to this like random argument that everybody already knows. It's like, of course,
Right.
nothing's wrong with being gay. We already knew that. But this is like a really weird situation to be like, there's nothing wrong with being gay. When everyone's like, yeah, we know there's nothing wrong with being gay.
Duh.
You're the weird one for thinking like this is your coming out moment of like, there's nothing wrong with being gay. Like, no, we've been there.
That's
We
not
all
the
know.
point here.
Did you just catch up? So there's been that argument of people fighting back and forth. And then some people are saying people who are saying that are just trying so hard to be woke. that they're like, no, guys, this is a victimless crime. And then some people, it's just been such a fight.
That's crazy. Yeah.
There have also been some memes that some people find funny, some people find very offensive, but some netizens have gone on to Photoshop Uncle Red's face onto Buddha statues.
Oh,
A
yeah.
Buddha statue
Saw
that
that.
depicts Uncle Red standing, resting both feet on the heads of two young men. And in one hand is a watermelon, in the other hand is a bottle of oil. Others are making cakes of Uncle Red's face with words that read, "I wish you have 1,691 men pursuing you this new
God.
year." It's supposed to be a celebratory cake. And so people are like, that is crazy that this is happening. And it just seems like the deeper that you go in, if you pass like the first layer of memes and people joking around, it becomes this black hole of moral dilemmas and arguments. And it seems like no one seems to agree on any aspect. It seems like at some point, people start diverging in their thoughts and their moral opinions of like, okay, well, maybe some people think it's okay up until this point. Some people are like, it isn't okay up until this point. And it just goes on and on. What are your thoughts, though? Side note, Uncle Red is, if sentenced, which he likely will be, he will probably spend at least 10 years in prison, if not more, considering how strict the justice system is in China. But what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Stay safe. I will see you in the next one.
I thought we were gonna get like why Uncle Red did this. I thought it was gonna be something so much more sinister, but that was probably me in my initial thought of like, oh my God, is this kind of like another nth room type of case? But no. Um, so I guess it really differs from person to person. So far, it seems like a big gender war. Like, this is women's argument versus this is what a lot of men's argument is. And that's not to put all women in one circle and all men in one circle, because I can't speak for everybody, obviously. Because I'm having trouble wording on wording voicing my opinions in a non-confusing way, I'm just gonna go down the comments and then just kind of give my opinions on that. um uh, these men are victims of non-consensual recordings, agree, but those perpetrators are cheating and possibly transmitting illnesses to their families. Yes, of course, there's a lot of victims in this case. Like I said, they are victims of non-consensual recordings. And then the men angry about the lack of empathy for women are the same ones that, if the roles are reversed, would question why would they go to the man's apartment? Why would they sleep with a stranger? I mean, yeah, there could most definitely be cases there, and that's why I think a lot of this is just a argument between men and women. And women should act like this. That whole list of like, oh, why men go to Uncle Red is because Uncle Red does this, Uncle Red does this. I like that list is very goofy. It sounds like you just want a submissive woman. And that to me is icky. Because then the thought came across my head. It's like, well, it seems like you're really angry at women who have like standards. Sure, there's some people out there, men and women, who have some unrealistic standards, but take those out of the question. People who just have like standards, but you're mad at them, it's like, why don't you just find somebody who suits, who you guys get along well? Why are you mad at this person who clearly doesn't want you? You're not a peak of their interest. Just move on. I don't get why that's such a big uh problem for some people. I get, sure, you're mad that they have unrealistic standards, but then they're clearly just not the person for you. Find someone who suits you. Yeah, the meme culture of this whole thing, I think, is really over exaggerative. Like, I don't get why there is such a big meme about it. And I feel like adding a joke on top of that really takes away from the severity of this, of what could be a movement of change for the better. And then concerning the topic of when women get essayed versus when men get essayed. I don't know why that's such a big debate. I think it should just be viewed as essay in general is a horrible thing. Because of course women are most likely the target of essay. And that's not to say that men don't get aren't target of essay. But I personally just don't see why that is such a huge debate. Like I just think it should be viewed as that. It's essay. Doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. This person got essayed. It shouldn't be like a look into details of like, oh, it was because of a woman, it's because of this, this, and this, versus if it's like a man who got essayed, then it's maybe not taken as seriously. Like it's wrong in all aspects for men and women, it's wrong. Yeah, that part was really, really weird. That's why I thought that list was super goofy. Like the men saying women need to be more like Uncle Red, completely ignoring the fact that he was using the submissive personality exactly to manipulate and take advantage of them. It's like I don't know what to tell you, bro. Like, okay. Like, then there's people undering that comment of like, this isn't manipulation if these men are purposely seeking out Uncle Red for the purpose of sexual interactions. You can look at it that way. And I think for me, in general, the whole thing of this case is that they were recorded without their consent. But then there's that whole argument people might make like, oh, we should thank Uncle Red because he exposed the really ugly men out there, the men who are cheating on their partners and stuff. I'm saying maybe some people just look past it. They don't care. They're like, "Well, I'm here to just get my goodies going. So I don't care of the looks or anything like that. Just get it done." Well, it's like, "I'm here anyways," right? That type of thought. I personally just thought it was very obvious. Even not knowing, right? Just looking at the thumbnail, I was like, "Oh, that's a very strange costume, honey." Like, and then I made that kind of comment of like, I don't want to comment too much on his looks because there are maybe some women who do look like that, but there's some things there that just really makes it a distinction between this is a man in a woman's costume versus this is actually a woman. It may be different for me versus, I don't know, to other people. I just thought it was very obvious that this is a man. I agree. So, yes, these men are victims. I thought they're victims of being recorded without their consent, being recorded of intimate relations without their consent, puts it online for sale for everybody to see. I think that part is a crime and that part shouldn't be debated. However, going into it, that really is like, okay, like y'all aren't really helping your case all that much. It's like the things that they bring to Uncle Red and how just like giving the cheapest thing, right? And just like here, it's like I said, that thought that came across my head is like throwing a penny at somebody and like, okay, here's a penny, get on your knees and pleasure me, that kind of thing. That's how I looked at it. And also exposing themselves as like cheaters and men who are eager for a quickie for a cheap price. Yeah, putting in as little effort as possible. I mean, let's word must have gotten around that's like, oh, go see Uncle Red. Obviously, I'm referring to him as Uncle Red. They're using Sister Red or something like that, right? You're gonna get it's so easy. And it's also the thing of like two things can be true at the same time. Like I think even Stephanie said like these are they victims? Yes, they aren't perfect victims. That's kind of what I'm looking at here. I would say majority of these men maybe aren't perfect victims. Because then there's maybe that slight percentage of there's that thought process I was going to say earlier on. I just didn't know how to word it. Say there's like this man who does come in here to see Uncle Red. They aren't in any relationship, right? And they go thinking they're just going to have relations with a woman. And they genuinely didn't know this was a man. And they bring a nice, very nice, expensive, thoughtful gift, right? I'm just giving like what if this happened type of thing to really get a visual of like what would be a considered a perfect victim as opposed to a not perfect victim. See, because it does happen a lot more to women. It happens so much so that it doesn't, it maybe if it does get covered by press, it doesn't stay in the news for much long because there's always another thing that happens and then another thing that happens. And it's like, why? Why does it have to happen so much so that it's like not even taken? I don't even want to say it's not even taken that seriously anymore because it's still a very serious case no matter how many times it happens. It shouldn't be happening in the first place. Oh my God, I forgot. That whole phone call in the beginning is Uncle Red. Ah, the whole phone call in the beginning of like, oh, my husband's, private part is like a little over like longer than like 3 or 4 inches, something like that. That whole phone call. So Uncle Red is actually being portrayed not only as a woman, but a married woman. You know, truthfully, in the beginning, without knowing much of the information of this case, I was like, wow, that's so messed up. This is so weird. But getting more information, I truthfully can't say I feel fully bad for these men who were recorded. Because not that we got a lot of information on all the men in that case, because there's a lot. There's no way we would be able to get into all of them. At most, we got into like the top 10 or something like that. I feel like my thought just kind of adds to like what is considered a perfect victim as opposed to like a bad victim. So weird to even say that. But to just generally put it, I don't know if I can fully feel bad for a lot of these men who go see Uncle Red. Yeah, exactly. That's the adds into the thing of like two things can be true at the same time. So you can be a victim while still being part of the issue. This case can be a very big example of that. Wow, this I didn't really know what to expect on this case. Like I said, I thought it was going to be a bit more sinister, but I guess not. It was more so because she made it a big point of being like there's a lot of discussions on here and what is morally right or wrong depending on some people. I get it now. I get it. Then bouncing off of this video, I'm just gonna watch the newest Mott's video because this video was quite something. I really still don't know what to fully think of it.